Today's episode is brought to you by JerkSwag.
When you're stuck in a rut, it's a comfort to know that help is on the way. So whether it's a simple malfunction or you're deep in a soggy trench, rest assured that the boys at Camel Towing will take care of you. Lickety split. Our dynamic trio of sports enthusiasts and longtime friends bring you the latest sports news, heated debates, and offbeat stories from the wide world of sports. Whether you're a diehard fan or just enjoy a good laugh, we've got you covered. Are your balls out?
Suck it, jabroni.
Hey, are you ready? Are you done fucking around?
Hey. Yo.
I do not have peanut butter on my list here.
Oh, my goodness. That's ridiculous.
You're listening to the Balls Out Sports Podcast. Here are your hosts, Ala, Crispy, and Jonas Mount.
I clear my all of this because I
Now 2024 starts.
All right, everybody, welcome into the Balls Out Sports Podcast alongside,
been out the game for a little bit.
this guy over here a little bit. He's obviously a little bit rusty. Got a frog in his throat.
Got to clear the pipes out.
That is Ala to my left. We've got Crispy joining us, of course, from Greenville, South Carolina. Those of you that are watching, you can see him on Crispy Cam. Crispy, what's happening?
What's up, family?
Oh,
Welcome into 2024.
very
Excited?
Yes, very excited for
Yeah.
2024. It's a new
Oh,
year.
yeah.
Oh, man. I've been pretty stoked about this for a while. We had a little bit of a layoff, a little bit of time off. We're back. Really, really excited about this. And I couldn't think of a better way to kick off the first show of 2024 than to kick it off the way we're going to tonight. Right? So we are live here. We're going to put everything together for you. You'll be able to catch the show both on YouTube and all of the podcast platforms, of course, coming up in a couple of days. But let me tell you this. I mean, of all the news, of all the things that have dropped, all the news that's happened today, the final week of the NFL season has come and gone. The national championship is come and gone. Michigan and Washington. We've got a ton happening. We've got playoff matchups coming up in the NFL. I mean, this is just. I mean, I'm excited about this. This is a.
I'm not.
This is a great time of year. It's sort of bittersweet because we know that the NFL season is coming to a close in about 5 weeks.
I'm great. I'm happy.
Why are you happy?
Get it out of here.
Done.
Yeah, it's over with. It was over 4 plays for me. So,
That's true.
So
that
at
is
this
true.
point, get it out of here.
Yeah, that is true. It didn't exactly turn out the way you had hoped. It didn't turn out the way I had hoped either. My team, of course, the Atlanta Falcons did not make the playoffs. We'll talk a little bit about what went down in that final game between Atlanta and New Orleans coming up here in a little bit. But a ton to get to. And I know that we had talked originally about getting into the conversation. One of the first conversations, if not the first conversation we were going to have, was, of course, the national championship game. That was something that we wanted to dive into, and we will give it its due.
There's not much to talk about.
That's fair, but we still need to give it its due. But the one thing, of course, that broke just a couple of hours ago that I think has just gotten everybody sort of in a state of flux. Like, I don't really know what to think about this. Maybe now that I think about it a little bit more clearly, I'm not surprised. But at the same time, the news broke, and I think everybody was just sort of like, really? Wow, what? Why? Who? Of course, the news, as most of you have probably heard at this point, is that Nick Saban has, in fact, left the University of Alabama. He is no longer the coach. Now, the only question that I have, because I only saw a little bit of this while I was still at work, is did he officially retire, or did he simply just resign his post as head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide? That's the part that I don't know. Did he? Because I thought I saw somebody say he retired.
Yeah, the piece I see on ESPN, Alabama football coach Nick Saban announces retirement.
Okay. All right. Because that raises the question that a lot of people, of course, have already talked about over the last couple of hours, which is Nick Saban going to go somewhere else? Is he going to coach here? Is he going to go there? he tried the NFL, didn't work. He's not going back. He's 72 years old. Like, I don't know what else Nick Saban has to prove at this point right now. So I don't see him coaching any other college football team. He's certainly not going to the pros. So I've got to believe that this is it. You don't resign. You don't retire. You don't say you're retiring, especially from that university with all the success that you've had, unless this is it. And this marks, if this is the case, which I have every reason to believe that it is, this marks the end of an era. This marks the end of an era, the end of a dynasty that was Nick Saban in Alabama. I mean, multiple national championships. I mean, there was a period of time where Alabama, when the year started, the question then became, well, who's going to finish second? Who's going to finish third? Like that was legitimately the thing, right? That was a legitimate a thing that people were talking about even at the beginning of the season when Alabama was on their run. I mean, it was just, Clemson came out of nowhere and beat them, and I think that shocked the world. It was one of those, moments where the underdog came through and managed it. But other than that Clemson loss, of course, Alabama loses to Georgia a couple of years ago in the national championship as well. But you just cannot, despite the losses, you can't take away. It's kind of like New England, right, where they lost a couple of Super Bowls to the Giants. But and everybody remembers that, because especially the one where it kept them from going undefeated. Everybody remembers the fact that they lost those Super Bowls, but you still remember the New England Patriots and Tom Brady as just dominating the NFL landscape for several seasons. And so that's the same thing I kind of see where with Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide, and it's funny because they were happening in and around the same time, right? New England kind of started before Alabama did, but they were winning Super Bowls and national championships, in that same in the same frame of time. Pretty dominant performance, both in the NFL and college football. So we say goodbye to a legend.
Get them out of here.
They're best of friends as well. They're when they were in Cleveland together. I thought that was pretty awesome. So, and both of them dominating each of their sports at the same time. Man, how lucky were we?
Yeah, we have gotten to see some pretty amazing dynasties, some amazing football, the recruiting itself, the athletes that came out of Alabama for a time. We joked about this within the last couple of years about, how many, what was it? Not last draft, but the draft before, how many Georgia players went in the first round, right? We were talking about there was like 6 or 7 in the first round and everything. Alabama was doing this long before anybody else was doing it. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't uncommon for them to be putting 6, 7, 8 guys in the first round into the draft, and as many as 14, 15 players over the course of all 7 rounds. So
I saw a post somewhere. I'm probably wrong in these numbers, but they're close enough. It said something to the effect like 45 or 47 first round draft picks, 29 losses in his career as a head coach or something like that. So he's got more first round draft picks
than he has losses.
He was cheating, so it don't matter.
Are you kidding me?
He was cheating.
Are you kidding me?
Who was?
Greatest college football coach all time.
He had to be cheating.
How?
You can't keep recruiting like that, putting all them people in the draft and doing all of that every single year after year after year in the SEC without doing some kind of cheating. There's some scandal coming. It's going to be a scandal coming out.
I really thought
he did have those 5 games that they took away from him as well.
I remember that too.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought when we got to 2024, maybe you were going to be a little less cynical. No.
Mm-mm.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Is that really sort of like that thing for you?
If you ain't cheating,
hey,
you
look
ain't trying.
At the shirt he's got on.
Right,
he's telling us right now.
Yeah, you are reminding us like
buck the system.
Okay, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I get a good laugh.
Thank you for appreciating my shirt because he ain't appreciating it.
Your T-shirt and shoe game, muy bien. There you go. It's awesome. I love it.
I do this for the
I'm
people.
trying to step up my shoe game. Hey, this ain't no joke. Derail time. Hey, so since we did our top 5 for shoes, I connected with some of my team members that I work with, asking them about their thoughts and stuff. I'll go be purchasing some new Jordan 4s here very soon. I guess I heard there was a release coming out in February. I think it is.
There is.
Yep.
So look, Jonas doesn't even know what to do with his hands.
I don't, because I'm like,
He want him to. He want him to.
I'm gonna get them.
I'm
got it
ordering
first of all?
whatever these Jordan 4 that come out here in February. I'm gonna grab me
Y'all
some,
don't
man.
even know the new style of how you order shoes. You got to go into the raffle process.
I know.
And you got to get chosen.
I've learned.
I've
learned. I know exactly how to do it. Yeah.
All right, when
hell
you get
yeah.
denied, then you come let me know, and I'll
Take care of
I'll
them.
let you know. Yeah, I'll let
Alright,
you
cool.
know.
I need whatever help I can get so I can make sure I get them.
Yeah, I got the apps. They're all here. I'm ready to go. I know what to do. Oh yeah, I've learned.
Just for that.
Yep.
Just for the force.
100%.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
He cheating. Why he just can't cheat? It's okay for him to cheat.
Who?
Saban.
All right, he cheated.
They
So
all
what?
cheated.
Okay.
They all cheated.
So the Knicks cheating
Hey,
right now
he-
because they're doing as well
he
as
ain't
they are?
trying.
No, see, we're in college. Don't put it on the pros, okay?
Well, you've always said that Belichick cheated. That's pros.
Belichick does cheat. It's been proven.
And that's pros.
It's been proven.
That's pros.
That's not conspiracy.
Okay.
Proven.
Pros.
Yeah, that's Belichick. It's a chip. Bella cheat.
Hey, them refs cheated in the NBA for sure.
Donahue,
Pros.
cheater.
Pro.
Always
Did you watch
cheating.
that documentary?
I haven't watched this yet. I need to watch it. Is it good?
Oh my gosh, this dude just let it all out. He didn't. He's like, I already did my jail time. I'm gonna tell everybody.
Good. About time somebody do that. I'm waiting
good.
for somebody to do that against the NFL.
It's going to happen.
Just like
Jeez.
It's going to happen.
they told me to throw the flag once I seen such and such and such. I want all of it to come out.
Hey, Ala, are we going to talk college basketball?
Sure. I know somebody that's playing at the University of South Carolina right now.
All right. I'm
that is
just
friend
curious.
that's going there.
This
And-
is
yeah.
Nasty. This is the other great part of this season is college basketball is getting really ramped
Oh,
up
I'm
right
I'm
now.
I'm psyched. I love college basketball. I'm ready to have these
I
conversations.
don't even pull for Florida State. I mean, I will, but I don't care. I just like watching good college basketball.
You know, I've the college basketball landscape for me has always been a let me watch the best basketball. Right.
End of February, early March.
I just want to watch the best basketball because the college that I pull for basketball wise, no. So
Who?
Georgia,
Oh, you pull for them too?
their basketball team is it actually this year they're actually not bad. They won their first SEC game. We'll see what happens. But I digress. The reality is, and one of the things that's actually, and I don't want to get off topic too much here, but you mentioned college basketball. I'm really looking forward to both watching and talking about it as the season gets underway. There's one thing about college basketball that's upset me that I still haven't gotten over. I think we've had this conversation.
Oh, there's no Big East.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
dude, like I did not have a team. I never had a team in the hunt, never had a dog in the hunt, never had one specific team out of the
Go
Big
Dogs.
East that I rooted for. All I wanted to do was just watch Big East basketball. I watched the Big East tournament religiously. And then when they get in, and then obviously like half of them at least get into the tournament, it was a sight. It was a sight to behold. It was the best college basketball that existed.
Growing up in New York, man. Big East basketball.
I miss it so much. Watching UConn,
Big East
watching
tournament
Syracuse.
at the Garden. The Big East tournament at the Garden. That's where
Stop.
Legends was made. That's where Kemba got the
Dude, Kemba.
step back.
Dude,
Oh,
UConn that year were not that good, and they get to the Big East tournament and
And
then
they made a
just
run.
rolled.
Seton Hall,
Oh,
Nova,
stop it.
Strong
dude.
squad.
Stop.
A lot of good squads.
Georgetown.
Hey, there's like an ESPN 30 for
Hughes.
30 on that. It's really good as well.
On Big East basketball?
Yeah.
St. John's.
Yeah, I want to say it's an ESPN 30 for 30. It's
And they-
real good.
And even though you had your top, I'm going to watch that. I need to
gotta
please remind
watch
me of
that
that.
too.
Even though you had your top tier Big East schools consistently year in and year out, right? You had that. We knew there was always your top 3 or 4, right?
UConn,
consistently.
Syracuse,
100%.
typically.
Right.
Nova,
Georgetown
probably.
was
Yeah.
had their run, but you mentioned a couple of other schools in there as well,
Small
like
ones, man.
Seton Hall,
Yeah.
St. John's. They had their time where they shined as well. There were moments, there were years where they would kind of get in there and start ruffling feathers and start.
Up there, I used to see when I used to watch it all the time. Omar Cook, Mo Harkless went to St. John's. You had obviously Meta,
Yeah.
Ron,
Yep. Yeah.
Like they had some really, really good players. A kid that went, dude that went to my high school, Eugene Lawrence, went there. Like it's so mint. St. John's was the thing up there. Like,
Why did it all go away?
I don't.
Money?
You got to talk to the big wigs, man.
Man.
Hey, you know who I know knows? Nick Saban. He probably knows.
He probably knows.
He got all the details.
Yeah, he does have the dates. Anyway, so we're definitely going to be talking college basketball as it comes around here pretty soon. Man, I'm all of a sudden I gotta get myself like
Big East
hyped back up a
basketball,
little
man.
bit because Big East doesn't exist anymore. I got myself on a little bit of a downer. All right, so a lot more to get to. Let's dive into this now. There's not a lot to talk about, but there's a few things I wanted to get into when it comes to the national championship game. Of course, Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines win the national championship game over Washington. Really a very one-sided game for the majority of the time. Like at the beginning of the game, Michigan goes on this run. They score 14 straight. 4 plays and 2 touchdowns and 100 and something yards later. Like it was just nuts, right? I mean, a couple of quick runs, 1 for 40, 1 for 50, and boom, here we go. We're up 14-0. Then in the middle of the game, it got a little tighter. Penix started, finding some guys. Their defense started catching on a little bit. Michigan didn't have quite as much success in the second and third quarters running the football. Michigan only managed, 3 points in the second, 3 points in the third quarter, and then ultimately ended up turning it on again in the fourth quarter, much like they did in the first quarter, scoring another 14 points and winning the game handily. So, they didn't need much. I think one of the things I look at, this was a very sort of Jim Harbaugh type squad, right? So it was run the football, play really, really good defense. And Michigan's defense this year was stout for sure. But McCarthy goes 10 of 18 for 140 yards.
Wow.
With no touchdowns.
I did turn it off early. I didn't know they scored that many after I turned it off.
They don't, but they run the ball extremely well, led by Blake Corum, who I think ultimately ended up winning MVP of the game. 21 carries, 134, 2 touchdowns.
Ooh, that kid's nice.
He really is. I mean, once he gets going, it's tough. But they didn't really need to throw much. They played really good defense. They dominated possession and ultimately just ran all over Washington. And I go back to this and, for the most part, I'll give the committee credit, because of the way that the semifinal games sort of played out. It looked like they had gotten it right for the most part. And then we get to the national championship game, and it looks an awful lot like last year where Georgia completely dominates TCU.
And
right?
that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other games were good, though, because for a moment it did. I was like, okay, all right, you got it.
They might have got something.
You might have gotten it right. But, and I have to give Washington a little bit of a love here because they struggled in this game and it did not help them at all. There's 2 things that didn't help. One, Dylan Johnson was not himself. This kid was seriously hurt.
Is he the running back that had the ankle injury?
Yeah, ankle injury. Yeah. He had, I think it was just a few days before the title game because he had hurt himself in the semis. He hurt his knee. He had a bursa sac in his knee that he had to have taken care of. I know it sounds funny.
No, it's and the way it's spelled too.
Right, I know. It's not something. Yeah, I knew when I said it. I knew when I was going to say it. I was like, yeah, this is just not going to come across very well. But he only ends up with 11 carries for 33 yards. I mean, he limped on and off the field consistently. And then, of course, because of their inability to run the football, Penix throws the ball 51 times, and that's just not a recipe for success.
He looked pedestrian.
Right.
He hurt his stock. He had to.
Yeah,
I think he did. And there's a lot of people, and this is what the media will do often, where it's, Penix. I mean, he just looked amazing in the semis, and he's just done an amazing job this year. And I give the kid credit. I mean, he did. He put up great numbers all year, but he put up great numbers all year against inferior competition. That's just the reality.
What conference again?
I don't even know what they're called anymore. I don't know. Why do you ask me this?
Because at the end of the game, it said bye-bye Pac-12,
right,
which was 16 teams in the Pac-12, so it didn't make a difference, right? But that's the problem. That's the problem. When you play in those bad conferences, it's a Power 5 conference, so, but when you play in a conference like that just gets whatever. This is what you get.
Yeah.
You get an ACC team, if it wasn't Clemson lately, that goes in there and shits the bed because they just don't play anybody.
Well, I'll say this about Washington and in this particular case. So Washington had their moment. Penix is going to leave. Johnson's going to leave. Adunze is going to leave. Like their best. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the country, right? He's going to leave as well. So this was going to be problematic for them, whether or not they were joining the Big Ten or not, right? But even if they were staying and this team was joining the Big Ten, they would struggle immediately. They would not have the type of success next year that they had this year because they're going up and week in and week out. Even though the Big Ten is maybe not the strongest conference in college football, it's definitely top 3. They would struggle from the jump because they're playing better competition in the Big Ten. And so, they're going to struggle now. They're going to take a step back now that they've gotten into the conference, and then they'll build themselves back up again because they're going to have the luxury of being in that conference, and therefore they will have, they'll have a good time of recruiting coming up. But it's going to take a couple more years for them to get back to
4 at least.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, 3 or 4 years for them to get back into it.
I was going to say they'll probably have a pop this year in recruiting. Maybe they'll get a couple of transfers, keep them up there maybe for another year.
Yeah.
That was my first time watching that quarterback play.
Yeah.
I wasn't overly impressed.
No.
His throw motions definitely going to have to be worked on, I think, for the pros.
I mean, he can sling it.
Got like a sidearm.
Yeah, it's a sidearm thing. He can sling it, but the accuracy, when he's got to fit it into a tighter window, he's not as accurate. It's great throwing the ball down the field. I mean, he can sling it 60 yards. That's great when you don't have anybody covering your wide receiver.
Kind of throw.
Right.
Yep.
But Rivers was accurate even on the shorter and intermediate throws. Right. He was extremely accurate quarterback. So a tough sledding for Washington. But I think if you know anything about football going into this game, I had some people asking me, well, what do you think? Who do you think is going to win the game? I was like, Michigan, dude. Like, Michigan's going to win this game.
Hands down.
And it was like, well, I don't know. Washington's played really well. I'm like, yeah, who they played? And they kind of looked at me and they're like, I was like, they haven't faced a defense like this. And even though Michigan typically puts out a very solid defense every year, it's the last several years, last year before last, of course, the conversation was about Georgia's defense and everything else. Michigan's defense this year took another step. Like they're consistently good. They have good athletes. They have a very good defensive line. We've seen some of their defensive linemen that have gone pro over the last couple of years, right? Mm-hmm. We know they're good. This year, I mean, this year that defense was extreme. It was a special defense this year.
Yeah, they could lose half their starters this year in the draft.
Oh, without question, and they're going to.
From that team.
They're going to. I mean, their corners are going to go. I've seen,
they got offensive linemen.
I forget the kid's name. Zero, the DB for Michigan. He's projected to at worst be a second round pick. Yeah, I mean they're just absolutely loaded, but they will lose a ton of guys. JJ McCarthy will be gone. I think all their running backs are probably going to leave as well. I don't know I think Corum's probably going to split for the NFL as well.
And which tells you why Harbaugh is not going to stay.
Yeah, there's just
perfect time for him to leave then.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to stay. And I think the difficulty with staying now is because of the landscape of college football and how much it's changed, right? It's how much it's changed now. It's harder to keep guys because of the transfer portal and the NIL money, and more so honestly, I'm not begrudging the NIL money because we've been proponents of college football players getting paid for a very, very long time. I have no problem with that. It's the transfer portal that I think makes things even more difficult because even the best teams are still losing players. Yep. Like I looked at Georgia this year, and there's no reason to believe that Georgia isn't going to be very competitive next year. They're actually odds-on favorite as of right now to win the national title next year, but they lost a ton of guys to the transfer portal. Guys just want to go elsewhere because maybe they're going to want to get more playing time, right? They're going to go to a smaller school. They're going to go to an Ole Miss, or they're going to go somewhere else and where they have an opportunity to shine, potentially, because right now they're playing sparingly. They're second-string guys who are only going to get in about a third of the game. So that's where it becomes difficult to maintain a team and a strength of a team like that year in and year out and continue to dominate the college landscape. So now that Harbaugh has won his alma mater a national championship,
I'm gone.
I'm out.
I'm gone.
Like I don't have any reason to stay.
I'm undefeated.
Yeah.
The likes. I'm out of there.
The likes of what we saw from Nick Saban ever happening again in college football in our lifetime, I doubt we'll ever see that again. I just don't know how you can maintain. I don't know how you can maintain that. I just
You
don't know.
might if you got enough money coming in, so where you can pay these players, and then you can go, hey, I seen a picture, a throwback picture, where it had Derrick Henry, T.J. Yeldon, Ingram, and all of them were just standing there in the line, and it's like, look at all of these running backs that they had.
Yep.
Alvin Kamara, I think, was in
Yeah,
that group.
Kamara was in there. Kenyon Drake was in the picture.
Yep.
It's like, it still
Oh
can
my
happen. It
gosh,
can still
that's
happen,
crazy.
right? Like what Saban's doing. It's just, do you constantly, and you have to be one of those bigger schools, but can you constantly do the same thing to revamp, to say, hey, I got somebody in line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can probably go somewhere else. That's fine. But I'm still going to bring in a top 3 recruiting class and just keep rolling.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very hard, though.
Yeah. I agree.
Very hard.
And Harbaugh, we've said this. I think at least 2/3 of the room probably believe that Harbaugh is probably going to move on. The question then becomes, where does Harbaugh go? We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit, but I do want to jump in to what went down during the last week of the NFL season. Now, it was
The Jets won.
the Jets. Yes, the Jets did win. They beat the who?
The bum-ass Patriots.
There we go. I wanted to make sure you said
Get
it
him
properly.
out of here, Bill. You're out of here.
Because if you had just said
Get out of here.
if you had just said Patriots, I would have been disappointed in you.
I'm sorry. I
You know?
hate the
That was
Patriots.
the
No,
first
no.
time in quite some time as well.
What's that?
Oh, yeah. We needed that win.
yeah. How
Like,
long had it been?
No,
10
so
years? 12 years?
up
It
in
was something
New
ridiculous.
England or something like that. It
Yeah.
was some stat like the last 15 we lost to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we needed that. I'll drop a couple draft picks just to have that win, going the high into the offseason, where Aaron Rodgers starts talking about people and things of that nature. So I figured that would come up eventually.
Yeah,
So,
eventually. Yeah, you know it will. So really quickly, I'll run through some of the games, of course, that took place. Final week of the season, right? Week 18. Of course, we had a couple of we had a couple of Saturday games where the Steelers, who beat the Ravens, ultimately found themselves in the playoffs now as a result, and very quietly. I know they're not going to do much, but
I
quietly
wouldn't have.
won 10 games. Like this was a team at
Shockingly.
the beginning of the year. We were like, yeah, you're going to win 6 if you're lucky.
You see that stat that whole team finished above 500.
Yep, the whole
Whole
division finished above 500.
and they snuck in the playoffs somehow, some way.
Yeah,
They got 3 teams in, right? The
Ravens,
Browns
Steelers, Browns. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And oddly enough, the Bengals are the team that didn't get in.
and the Bengals should have been in.
Yeah, well, they dealt with a ton this year, right? I mean, that was just it was just rough for them from jump. The Texans, of course, one of the surprise teams, one of the great storylines.
That game was great.
Of this season. Yeah, the Texans take down the Colts 23-19. Of course, the other division game from the AFC South was the Titans over the Jaguars. We'll talk about that game here in just a second, a little bit more closely. The Lions over the Vikings 30-20. The Saints and Falcons, which we'll also talk about that game a little bit as well, not because of the score, but because of what happened at the end. Saints dominate the Falcons in that game 48-17. The Jets over the
Bum ass Patriots.
17-3. We had the Buccaneers, who found themselves in the playoffs with a victory over the Carolina Panthers, albeit very ugly one. 9-0 win there. Of course, you had the Bengals, who were playing for nothing at the end, and the Browns, who weren't going to move up or down as far as the playoff seedings were concerned. Bengals win that game 31-14. Packers over the Bears 17-9. The Cowboys dominate the Commanders 38-10. Raiders over the Broncos 27-14. I still don't. Antonio Pierce has got to stay with the Raiders, man. This is just like one of the great storylines of the season as well. The Giants over the Eagles, who, by the way, if memory serves me correctly, started 10-1 on the season and then finished 11-5.
Overrated.
Yeah.
Like really, I'm still
They're
trying to figure out what in the hell is happening in
AJ
Philly.
Brown. AJ Brown's the problem. I'm just saying.
They're on the road in Tampa. That just didn't even sound right.
It's AJ
Like,
Brown.
Knowing
Why
how
is it
good
AJ
they
Brown?
were at one
Huh?
point.
Why is it AJ Brown?
Because he's a diva. And
All receivers are divas.
well, yes. Agreed.
Every one of them.
Agreed. But
he's going through something right now.
There's something wrong on the sideline between him and Hurts and him and the coaches.
Interesting.
It's not looking the best.
They've lost their mojo.
They leave off the field and they're like, I know diva receivers, hey, get me the ball.
Sure.
Like put Diggs and Allen have that problem all the time.
All the time.
But something is wrong with AJ Brown. Something is wrong there.
They're keeping it in-house, though,
They
because
are.
we don't know.
But there's been like rumors of, hey, he's unhappy, he's this, he's that. And
why in the hell would he be unhappy?
Was it Stefanski? That's his name, the coach out there?
Is it?
Or Sirianni?
Yeah, Sirianni. Yeah.
Sirianni.
Oh yeah, because he's from New York.
He's
right?
from New York. Yeah.
That's right.
He's from New York.
Him just saying like he's brushing stuff under the rug, and his personality too doesn't, to me, fit the conduciveness of what AJ Brown does and the diva mentality.
Okay.
Like Belichick would have told him to go sit his ass down.
Right.
Vrabel would have told him to go sit his ass down somewhere.
So you're telling me the coach doesn't have control?
I don't think so, and I don't think he really wants Hurts. I think
Really?
Hurts has been pushed into that position. Remember, there was problems of like, is Hurts going to be the starter? And then when he went on that run, it was like, oh, now we get the record contract for him. Like, I don't think they really appreciate Jalen Hurts out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some
But
problems.
you yourself have said over time that you've never been 100% sold on Hurts anyway.
Either. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I mean, there were plenty of, like, he had success in college. We saw what he did, right? He had success at Alabama. All that stuff went down with Tua. He goes to Oklahoma, has great success there as well. Comes into the league, and there were question marks. But again, and I'm not going to read too much into it, but there were question marks about accuracy. But that's pretty typical of a young quarterback when they come into the league. There's always going to be question marks about accuracy. But I just find it fascinating that from an offensive perspective, we haven't seen a huge shift in personnel. I mean,
personnel. No,
that's what I'm saying.
No,
like a couple of guys, yes, like Sanders not there anymore, which I think is somewhat problematic. But when it comes to Hurts and getting the ball to the receivers, I mean, this team offensively looks completely different than last year.
I agree.
Now, defensively, it helps when your defense is playing well and getting you the ball more often. You become more confident because you go, well, if we don't get it on this series, guys, well, defense is going to get us the ball back. That's somewhat problematic for them this year as well because the defense is not playing up to snuff, right? They're not playing as well as they have in the past. But there is definitely something way, way off as far as this team goes. I've never seen such an about face. Now, remember, even when they went 10-1 at the beginning of the season,
it wasn't good wins.
Right. It wasn't. They weren't dominating their competition, but they were still winning, and you have to give them credit for that, right? You still went 10-1. A lot of times, of course, whether you won the Super Bowl the year before or you were the Super Bowl representative, even if you lost it, the target is still on your back, right? Especially in the NFC. Everybody's looking at you and they're saying, hey, you're the guy. We're coming for you. So everybody gave them their best every single game, and the Super Bowl hangover, they're trying to get a little bit better. They've lost some pieces, so forth and so on. I've just never seen, Crispy, I'll go to you. I've just never seen anything like this before, such an about face from a team, because typically the team that loses the Super Bowl the year before is a non-factor, period. Like they're pretty much not a factor most of the season anyway, but to have them have started the way they did, the expectations being as high as they were, them being 10-1 and then just seemingly just falling apart. I mean, just literally falling apart at the seams. What are your thoughts? I'm flabbergasted by this. I don't even know what to make of this team.
I think we talked about this a couple of weeks back, but Philly had a tough schedule, and I think that section where they started losing those games were in that murderer's row, if you will, where they had that tough stretch against some tough opponents. So I think that had something to do with it. They're almost getting to where they're a one-trick pony. It's the tush push, and and then the running game I don't think's really been as good as it has been in the past. Like, what was the kid's name that went to Carolina?
Sanders.
That was there last year. Yeah, Sanders. I think I asked that at the beginning of the season.
You did,
know, how much is he going to be missed? And I think we're seeing that. I think he's being missed. And then I don't know. I don't know why I was thinking about this today, but it's like, is Hurts finally starting to hear that Philly fan base?
Yeah.
Is it starting to get into his head,
I
you know,
agree.
kind of thing? I mean, he's not a Philly guy. I mean,
Nope.
he's from the South, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a quiet
I think he's
kid.
from Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, maybe the way he's very professional and nothing gets to him kind of thing. He doesn't really show a lot of emotion, where Philly's an emotional town. This team is very passionate about their team. So I don't know if something like that's really playing at him right now. Maybe he's starting to hear some of that talk and it's bothering him now.
And it's Monty in the chat saying hope Hurts doesn't turn into Carson Wentz, which I don't
Are we
think-
talking about from an injury standpoint, or
No,
are we
just
talking
overall?
about
like
just
it's lining up the same exact way.
so like we saw this promise and then all of a sudden things just started to kind of fall
It's
apart? Now,
lining
when,
up the same way.
in Wentz's defense, some of that was
Was
injury
injury
related, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was talented,
Yeah,
right?
very
and then
much
he
so.
got in there, and then it just something went wrong.
Yeah.
And it's looking like the same thing is rolling. They got Wentz and whoever else was there. Foles was there when
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
came, right?
Yeah.
But they got Wentz some pieces the same
Oh,
exact
yeah.
way. They had
Oh,
a
sure.
good defense, went
Yep.
to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Without Wentz, but yeah.
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 And then they came back, and then
That was
all of a sudden
MVP
it's
year.
like he's on the way out. So they got Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
and did that and everything. And it's just, hell, Philly fans threw batteries at Santa Claus.
Sure. Yeah.
They
I mean, it's a
fight all the
tough
time.
town, man.
Yeah, and I don't think that it was when something's new, they love it, right?
Right.
And Jalen Hurts is the quiet guy. He's handsome. He's out there smiling. He's gonna bring that people in, right?
Yep.
He can't handle it. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's a good enough quarterback to me.
Yeah.
But it's something there on the offensive side of the ball. And in Philly, they don't play that.
I mean, I think that Jalen Hurts can still be a highly successful quarterback in this league in the right spot. And it's hard for me to sit here and say, you know, he'd probably have better success in a better situation. But because we're only, you know, we're less than a year removed from this team representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, right? So it's hard to sit here and say that. But again, it's not as difficult to say it because I've never seen anything like this before.
Something wrong.
This is unprecedented territory that we're in right now, where Philly was granted was going to struggle. Again, historically speaking, every team that loses the Super Bowl when they come back the next year, I think only less than a handful of them have ever even gotten back to the playoffs. I know Atlanta did it a couple of years ago. The very next year after they lost that Super Bowl to the Patriots, they actually managed to get back to the playoffs the next year. But I remember when that happened, them saying this is very, very uncommon. This is not the kind of thing that happens.
Chiefs recently,
Right.
It's
Right.
And the Patriots of the previous regimes,
But
they
very, very
don't get back
uncommon
there.
place. Nobody does
Nope.
that.
Nope.
So they struggled, and they would have struggled. I get it. Like I'm not even.
And they play in a good division.
Sure.
Like Dallas is good this year,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
The Giants have been up and down, but I mean, they played the Philly somehow well, some way.
Sure. I
And
mean,
they had a
what you do in
difficult
your
schedule.
division. You
and
do
they
in your
and they
division.
lost to the Jets. So, like, come on now.
Right. I mean, so they're really not that good. So Manny also mentions that Wentz carried them there and Foles finishes up. No, 100%. I mean, but I was just stating the obvious, obviously, where, you know, Wentz was not in the Super Bowl. And Foles, by the way.
They better get it fixed.
Foles played out of his mind, by the way, in that Super Bowl. I'm just saying. Like,
Foles got paid
actually in that
because of that,
playoffs.
too.
I think he played the entire
Yeah.
playoffs. It wasn't just
Yeah.
No, 100%. And again, I've always been a huge Wentz fan. I mean, until such time as like when he left Philly and kept trying to go different places, he just kept getting hurt. And I felt bad for the kid because he's a really, really good quarterback, likable guy, right? Seems to handle the pressure of any particular situation. It's just injury-wise, it just derailed his career.
Couldn't have it, yeah.
It's really, really unfortunate. So again, Giants end up winning that game 27-10. The Seahawks squeak out one over the Cardinals 21-20, excuse me. A good game, by the way. I actually watched quite a bit of that. The Rams game with the 49ers, 21-20. Rams in the playoffs. Like 5 weeks ago, I would have said absolutely not. This was
Did you
not
see
happening.
what Sean McVay did, though?
What?
Puka Nakua.
Oh, he's like, get out.
He got his catch. He was like, "Nah, get on out. He got the records. Get on out."
Yeah. I'm telling you, 5-6 weeks ago, I would have lost a lot of money If somebody had said, "Is there a chance the Rams get into the playoffs?" I'd be like, "Absolutely not.
I agree.
Absolutely
We
not."
don't think
And
that.
let me tell you something right now. Be careful.
I like this matchup coming up this
Be
weekend.
careful.
I want to see.
Oh,
Stafford.
Rams, Detroit. Oh, everybody on the
Oh.
planet's watching
Did
this game, man.
you see what they were talking about too?
Oh, the
Banning
banning the. What is that?
They said if you put a Stafford jersey, on, you're not coming in the stadium.
Oh,
Even if it's a Detroit one.
A Detroit, they don't want to see any Detroit Stafford jerseys in the crowd.
Are they really going to be able to get away with that?
I know, but his wife went out there. She was really classy. She was like, "We love that city," and like, da da da. Like,
yeah.
I would have went off. Nah, fam.
I'm torn.
I am
I
over
love
this
the
game.
story. I just don't know where I'm at on this. I don't know who I'm pulling for in that game.
That's true.
Nah,
It's
the
kinda
Rams
true.
got one. They got one, and they got a nice little team. And McVay is good, and I get it. But come on now. The Lions need this.
I get it, and I'm probably gonna. It's probably gonna be more like it's probably gonna be like 51-49 for me. But that storyline right there about the jersey thing
So
is
you
kind of
just
like
stick it to
it's
them,
kind of
right?
like what Detroit you kind of you know
Mm-hmm.
people
Hey,
aren't-
and he was really good at home too.
yeah
Stafford.
yeah oh I mean it's not like he's not going to be comfortable there.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like he might go in here and just light these cats up.
He very well could, because Detroit is that team that we saw this year that can walk in and beat you down. They can put up 40 and look like world beaters, and then turn around and get absolutely annihilated. And it's happened a couple of times this year. That Ravens game, of course, notwithstanding, but I mean, like they got just beat, like beat black and blue beat.
Yeah.
I mean, bad, and that can happen to them. Right, they're a good team, but if they get smacked in the mouth early, I don't think Detroit comes back.
It all depends on Jared Goff. If Goff comes out and looks like the old Goff, then I don't know.
Yeah.
If he comes out and manages the game properly and uses those rookies, but Laporte is
And they
out,
gotta run the ball,
But
too.
Laporte is out
Yeah.
because stop playing your players. See, that's why TJ Watt is out too.
Yeah. You got to run, and they have to
playing
run the
players.
ball successfully. In order for Detroit to win this game, they're going to have to run the ball successfully. Couple more games really quickly that ended up finishing actually pretty well. The Chiefs-Chargers game was actually an interesting game. But finally, of course, on Sunday evening, Sunday Night Football.
I don't think I watched any Sunday games this week. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Bills over the Dolphins 21-14. You know, it was funny because pregame when they were talking about all the matchups, like if this team wins this game, this is what's going to happen. Like this is going to be the matchup here. This is going to be the matchup there. Of course, if the Dolphins won that game, then they would have turned around and played them again next week.
Oh, you're talking about those Dolphins?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
his Dolphins.
yeah, his Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
So the Dolphins had actually won that game against the Bills Sunday night. They would have turned around and played them again. They would have matched up again in the playoffs.
And would have lost again.
Well, no, if they'd have won that game, then they would have played them again. So they
then-
wouldn't have lost again.
And then beat them again.
And then
Or
they would have
again.
lost.
Oh,
Not again.
I don't care.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So some crazy games went down, but there's a couple of games which I want to highlight, right? One in particular is the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I thought that this was an interesting storyline because, of course, Tennessee. Now, the Jacksonville, we loved this team when the season started, right? This was a team that I think a lot of us thought were going to make some noise. You actually had some pundits out there that thought that Jacksonville could potentially represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Okay, they're
Oh, balloons are up there. Got you.
That was my AFC prediction. Was the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Well,
So-
you know, at the beginning of the season when they took on Kansas City, they won that game, and they started off the first. What are we looking at? Really, the first 2/3 of this season, Jacksonville looked like the team that could. Right, they really did. They were a team that, and when we're looking at the rest of the AFC to a certain extent, and this is going to happen every year, and this is not to downplay what Jacksonville did, but there was a sort of an addition by subtraction thing going on there, where they through that stretch of time where they were still winning games before they got into this, losing 5 of their last 6. Buffalo wasn't playing particularly well. Kansas City hasn't been playing particularly well. So a little addition by subtraction when it came to the AFC, because we saw that shift in power, right? We saw that the Bengals weren't. We probably figured the Bengals weren't going to go anywhere. We didn't think the Steelers were going to go anywhere. even though we don't know that they're going to really go much further.
Yeah, they suck.
But there were a lot of storylines that lend itself to the idea that Jacksonville could very well make a run. And then the wheels completely come off.
Because they couldn't block no more. Trevor Lawrence was getting hit every 5 seconds.
And he's playing hurt the last couple of games. Yeah, no question. But they couldn't run the ball as successfully anymore either. Like everything completely fell apart. When he had a little bit of time, he's still managing to get the ball out there. They still had some good, stat lines when it came to, quarterback to receiver.
Christian
stat
Kirk
lines.
was out a couple games, and Zay Jones was out a couple games.
Yep.
So like they were missing pieces.
Yeah,
but
they were. But
Kirk
5 of
was
their
out for the season.
Yeah, lose 5 of their last 6. They needed this win against the Tennessee Titans to secure a spot in the playoffs, and they lose. They lose this game. It got competitive at the end. They came back a little bit, but for the most part, Tennessee led this game by 14, 17 points for the majority of the time.
they ain't get DeAndre Hopkins his goddamn incentives though.
We're going to talk incentives in a little bit.
That's why.
Actually, he got some. I'll get into that.
Like a drop.
They got quite a bit actually.
He ain't
more
get
than
his
you think.
$750K that he was trying to get.
No, he didn't.
He didn't get the big one.
He didn't get the big
Because
one.
he had to get 2 touchdowns in that, I thought.
I think he needed like 46 yards or something like that.
He
too.
got the
3
yardage,
catches
got the
and-
catches, but only got 1 touchdown. So he still ended up with like $500,000.
That's why.
We'll talk about those incentives a little bit. And I'll give Tannehill some credit. He actually publicly went out and said, I was trying to get him that money.
Get him paid.
But, it's not like DeAndre Hopkins was doing much for the Tennessee Titans anyway. Of course, naturally, they fired Mike Vrabel. But Tennessee ends up...
He had a good year.
Who?
With a couple different quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I realized that he had a good year, but it didn't help the
How many
team.
games at the beginning?
What did they win? 5 games this year?
He missed, the first 3, 4, 5 games or something?
Well,
I don't know
yeah,
if it was
because he had a
suspension
suspension
or-
still. Yeah, so he came in to still put up good numbers. Derrick Henry said his goodbye, apparently.
Yeah, he gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
He was like crying on his way out the door.
Yeah, he's not going to be there next year, which is
Ooh.
just weird.
end
Like,
of an era.
imagine seeing him in another uniform.
That's crazy.
I don't really know. how
That's
gonna
crazy.
look.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jacksonville ends up losing to the Tennessee Titans. So Tennessee delivers this loss essentially to Jacksonville the same way Jacksonville did them last year. This was the perfect situation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Jacksonville did it to Tennessee last year. Beat them in the last game of the season, keeping Tennessee from getting into the playoffs. Tennessee does that to Jacksonville this year, keeping Jacksonville from getting into the playoffs. So it was because you could tell too. Like when Tennessee won that game at the end, it was like, yeah.
They don't like each other.
What? No,
Division rivals.
They're division
They don't
rivals,
like
and I
each
get
other.
that. Speaking of 2 teams that don't like each other,
The Jets and the Patriots.
yeah. I mean,
We're talking about that? I
Any
didn't see
other-
that on the note.
any
I
other
was just trying to see.
any other division, we can talk about how much they don't like each other, Steelers and Ravens. I mean, we just go on and on and on, right? But this particular one I found rather fascinating because, of course, I'm watching this game, and much to my chagrin, of course, I'm watching this game because it was extremely competitive in the first half, and I thought, well, this should be entertaining. Maybe Atlanta is going to get something done here, and in hopes, keeps their fingers crossed that the Panthers pull off some kind of miracle. Now, granted, the Panthers didn't score a point, but they actually only gave up 9. So there was still a chance because I don't even think Tampa scored until the third quarter. Like that was an ugly ass game too. So of course I've got that game going on over here, and I'm watching Atlanta over here, and Atlanta and New Orleans, good game in the beginning. They trade touchdowns.
Oh, we talking about that?
Yeah, good game, and they trade touchdowns. It's 17-17 at the half. Right? I mean, it's like this is a good football game, and I'm like, all right, well, win or lose, this should be an entertaining game. Well, the entertainment came at the very, very end of the game. If you're an Atlanta fan, because now if you're a New Orleans fan, you love the entertainment value, of course, the entire second half, where Atlanta didn't score any more points, mind you. So they had 17 at the half, finished with 17 at the end of the game, and lose 48, 48-17. But at the end of the game is where things got a little bit interesting. So, one of the many picks that were thrown in that game by, Ritter. Excuse me. Yeah, it was Ritter because Ritter started the game because Heineke couldn't play. New Orleans intercepts it. There's only a few seconds left in the game. They intercept the ball. They get tackled at the 1-yard line. And New Orleans, of course, already up 41-17, decides that they're going to go into victory formation. They're going to take a knee.
Psych.
So they go to take a knee and instead hand the ball off to Jamal Williams, who had a banner year the year before for the New Orleans Saints. Led the league in touchdowns.
No, not the Saints. He was with the Lions.
Oh, he was with the Lions. Had 17 touchdowns for the Lions the year before. Doesn't score a touchdown at all this year for the New Orleans Saints. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna give him the ball and let him score a touchdown. So they ask Dennis Allen, apparently. No, let me backtrack. So the game is over after this happens. They hand the ball off to Jamal Williams. They fake the victory formation. They hand the ball off. Game is over. Midfield, when the coaches are coming together, Arthur Smith, who, by the way, about 6 hours later got fired,
out of here,
comes to the middle of the field, and he is dropping F-bombs. You don't even have to be a great lip reader to know what he was saying, right? You see the back of Dennis Allen's head because he's walking towards Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is coming at him like a freight train, and he is like, what the F this, F that, that's some bullish. I mean, like, just going off on him. And you could tell, just watching, because they showed the replay several times, Dennis Allen tries to put his hands on it, like, just kind of like, whoa, big fella, like, hey, you know. So he's trying to explain something. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I know why Arthur Smith is pissed, but like, what's happening? So come to find out, after the game is over, that Jameis Winston, idiot.
No, don't do that.
Decided to go to Dennis Allen and say, hey, this is what we want to do. Are you okay with that?
He asked.
Dennis Allen said, no, I'm not.
So what?
So I want you to take a knee.
And I wish Russell Wilson did that in the damn Super Bowl.
Did what?
The same thing that Jameis Winston did.
Why are we throwing this? We should be writing this with Marshawn Lynch.
Exactly.
That's what he's saying.
That's what those two things have nothing to do with the other.
No, it 100% does, because if he did, they get 2 rings and then that dynasty is done. But continue, sorry.
What are you talking about?
If Russell Wilson did the same thing that Jameis Winston did, says, or whatever the play call is, and says, hey, I'm changing this. I'm handing this off.
That's fine. Yeah, all right.
It's over.
Okay, again, one that doesn't have anything to do with the other.
It does.
And no, it doesn't.
In my mind, it does.
Well, your mind's flawed.
I'm with you on this one, Olive. Same thing.
I mean, essentially it's the same. If the call comes in and it goes, hey, this is what we're doing. If they let all these quarterbacks change whatever they want.
The only thing that you can compare either one of those stories to is the fact that you wanted Russell Wilson to overrule a call. Like that's the only thing that's the same here. It wasn't like it was the end of the game and they were taking a knee.
Yeah, I would have just overruled it.
Okay, all right. Again,
overrule it.
Anyway,
hand the ball off. Marshawn gets a touchdown. Seahawks get another title.
So okay, fine, wonderful. That's great. We've read that storyline a gazillion times over and over again. We get it. But here's the thing: the Saints didn't need that touchdown to change their stars, right? They needed Seattle and Green Bay to lose, by the way, in order for them to also be a wild card team to get in. So that didn't change anything for them by doing that. Jameis Winston's just decided that we were going to make this decision as an entire offense, which, by the way, you didn't have enough time to do that, by the way. It was probably a decision maybe 4 of you made. And you decided to go into victory formation. You put Jamal Williams out to the left-hand side and you hand him off the ball and he runs into the end zone. Bush League play. Like it's not what you should do. And here's the thing. A lot of people are trying to say, it's not. Of course, all the Saints players are talking all kinds of ish about this, right? They're all like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm behind it." Now I understand. It's his teammate. They're saying that they're going to back him, right? Now there are a few guys that actually said that they're not commenting on it because I don't think all of them necessarily agreed with it, right? So what I don't understand is why it made a difference. Like why would you do that?
Because he ain't had no touchdowns.
So what? Did getting that touchdown change anything for him? Was there an incentive in there?
Maybe. We don't know. I don't know his contract.
Yeah, he could have had an incentive where he had to score at least 1 touchdown to get a bonus. Maybe there's something in there.
But none of that actually has come out. And everybody talks about incentives. Nobody has a problem talking about that. Jameis didn't say anything about that. And obviously he has no problem talking to the media about any of it.
I don't know.
Nessie, so I had the game on, but I was back and forth on a lot of the games. Who was the commentators of that game? Do you remember?
Matt Ryan,
Was Tiki Barber with him?
Tiki was with him.
It was Tiki. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure it was Tiki because that's who I thought it was. Did you hear what Tiki said at the end of that?
I don't remember.
Yeah. So when it first happened, I saw this when they came back on and the commentators were going and the main guy is like, "You guys have a problem with this?" Kind of thing. And Tiki says, "It's football. It's a man's sport. If you don't like it, stop it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yo, it's my division rival. We got beef.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The if you don't like it, stop it. I don't remember. If anybody can tell me this, I'd really appreciate it. Maybe you can justify what happened on Sunday by giving me some kind of historical, maybe something historically that took place here that can justify this. What other time have we ever seen a team go into victory formation, fake it, and then hand it off and have somebody run it in for a touchdown? Victory formation, not the spike.
Oh, I was about to say, because they did the same damn thing to us.
Spike.
That was okay when that happened.
That's a different. That's
Bush League too.
That's a different situation.
That was Bush League.
A completely different.
It was
situation.
Bush League though. You can't fake a spike like you was about to get rid of the ball and then throw a touchdown.
Dan Marino on the Jets.
Yeah.
So why is
it's the same thing?
So okay, so if that's Bush League, why?
No,
is it
I'm
what
just saying. You said that was Bush League. Do I agree? I agree that the play was Bush League, but at the end of the day, we're division rivals. He doesn't have a touchdown. We changed the play in the huddle. Stop it.
Yeah, but again, there has never been a time when anybody lines up in the victory formation that you as a defense are going to assume that they're going to run a play. It not happened. Can anybody tell me when it's happened? When was the last time it happened?
But we see all the time when they go into victory formation and you already know they're about to take a knee to end the half, and they still rush somehow, some way, trying to like knock the ball out. Yeah, it always happens.
Yeah. Okay.
And in my mind, as a defensive lineman, I was always like, you already know that like you're not doing anything on that unless the ball gets fumbled or something like that. But it happens every single play. We see they're about to take a knee, they're doing that. They still rush. Nobody rushed.
They got a touchdown. But okay.
95% of the time?
No. But anyway.
90% of the time?
It doesn't matter. Anyway. But
high majority percent of the time?
But again, it's not, you still haven't answered the question. How many times have you seen a team fake victory formation and then run a play?
Never.
Okay. So.
Never. But it happened.
Okay. It shouldn't have happened.
I got to give my man a touchdown.
I'm
not condoning it. I'm just saying. I got to give my man a touchdown.
So you're not condoning it.
I just like Jameis did it. I like Jameis did it.
I love Jameis' interview. Like, I think that's the thing that entertains me the most because the guy is just
I like he did it, and I like his explanation afterwards. I like him speaking and owning it and standing up. Like, I like that. But I mean, yeah, it was Bush League.
I mean, I like the Jameis interview. I also like what Shannon Sharp had to say after the fact.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't usually
stop the presses.
I don't usually say that very often.
You?
Yeah.
Like Shannon Sharp?
I just like what he said. I don't like Shannon Sharp.
And not because of the Cat Williams interview?
I did love the Cat Williams interview, by the way. I did love that Cat Williams interview.
Oh, you like something amazing. Shannon said?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with what Shannon said. In fact, I think everybody should probably
on record.
Hold on, what year is this?
Glad we have this on record.
Yeah, what year is this?
2024.
24.
You sure?
Yeah.
Damn.
Why?
I never thought you would agree with Shannon.
Yeah, I mean, this might actually be somewhat extreme too, but Shannon Sharp had some things to say about what he thought about Jameis.
So you think he should get cut?
Let's just hear what Shannon Sharp has to say.
Pause for dramatic effect. Continue, pause for dramatic effect.
I would cut Jameis Winston today. I would not want him on my team. That's loser's mentality. And people will say, well, Shannon, what about when Dan Marino fake spiked the ball or Peyton Manning? They were not in victory formation. If you get down, the defense is conceding. If you want to run the ball, let the defense line up. Don't you fool them, think this is a victory formation, and then drive off the ball. You mean to tell me that's going rogue? Dennis Allen's going to probably have to go because his players have no respect for him. Right?
Interesting take on the Dennis Allen piece at the very end of that. Because it might be a little overkill, but is there any validity to the idea that Dennis Allen says this and you just decide to do that? Because I'll just give you an example of what Dennis Allen may be thinking, right? I don't necessarily want to do this because assuming I'm still the head coach of this team next year, we have to play these cats again, right? You got to play them again. Is this a good idea to start something like this in this type of situation? Because things can happen, right? I mean, so, but just look at it from the standpoint of Dennis Allen saying, nope, we're not doing this. I need you to take a knee. And then Jameis Winston saying, no, I'm just going to do it anyway.
It's football. We are rivals. Don't give me a division game at the end of the year then.
No, but that wasn't Jameis Winston's decision. That wasn't why he decided to do it.
We don't know why he did it.
Well,
Jameis does what he does when he wants to do it. So.
I don't know that Jameis knows what he's doing half the time. But he said that Jameis Winston says that he wanted to get.
That's consensus of what he said, right? Hey, I did it to get Jamal a touchdown.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think the uproar should be what it is. I think yes, it was Bush League, absolutely. But when you put your helmet on, you strap your helmet up for a reason. Every single play. Every single play, right?
Look, here's my thing. I would have absolutely no problem with this whatsoever if they lined up
and ran the ball
in a typical offensive formation and ran the ball and he got the ball. No problem with that. I have no problem with that because I am of the same ilk. If you have a problem with it, stop it. But that is not a play that you assume is going to. You're not assuming you're stopping anything on that play. You're not set up for that. Nobody is ever set up for that. That's what makes the play Bush League. You admitted to yourself that it's a Bush League play.
But 90% of the time they still rush the play, even in victory formation. So that is an excuse because you did allow him to get in the end zone. So I don't want to hear that part.
Here's the part that I'm going to tell you. I'll repeat again. You're saying, both of you are saying, well, if you don't like it, stop it. It's not like everybody does this all the time. It's not anything that you expect is going to happen. Again, if you line up in a standard offensive formation, you score the touchdown. Yep, you're right. Should have stopped them.
Well,
shame on you. You didn't.
It's changing next year.
But they went into victory formation and decided to then run a sneak play off of that. You can't compare. You can't say both things are equal. Stop it. Stop what? I'm not. No, it doesn't. That's the first time it's ever happened.
I said it happened now.
Right.
So now next year, when victory in the playoffs, when victory formations comes up, we're going to see everybody strap their damn helmet up and they're going to rush the quarterback. Rush, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I hope Jameis Winston's in that situation again, and then I want Jesse Bates to fly over the line and put him to sleep. That's what I want.
Man, Jameis is eating W's out here.
I love and hate Jameis's interview at the same time.
Why?
No, I love it and hate it at the same time.
Jameis got shafted, first of all.
When you listen to him talk, though, it's like, dude, how did you get through school? Because
he stole crab legs. That's why.
Hey, they're just there to play football. He's just there to play football.
And he squints.
No,
he opens his eyes really wide.
Yeah,
it's like
he got his eyes fixed and he's still squinting.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, come on, man.
Now it's just a habit.
Yeah, he's good. Listen, Jameis should have been starting, first of all. They should have never even went out and got Derek Carr. They should have let Derek Carr go somewhere else. They should have started Jameis Winston and then seen what they had. Mm-hmm. They did him dirty. He said, I'm getting my man a touchdown, and I'm getting out of here. I got a W. I'm out the door. End of the story.
End of it.
Yeah, there you
Done
go.
deal.
Now next year, y'all take his head off. That's different. Hey, you do something stupid, you get what you
pay the price.
Absolutely.
You pay the price.
Now that's on him.
Yeah.
But hey, it was fun.
I did hear Dennis Allen when he was chatting with Arthur. He did say, "Yeah, you have the right to be."
Yeah.
When Arthur said he was frustrated or upset about it.
Yeah.
I think Dennis Allen wholeheartedly did not know that they were going to change.
No, I agree. He said that in his post-game interview at his press conference. He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I told him." He's like, "I didn't know this was coming. I apologize. You have every right to be upset. This should not have happened." And it's just an unfortunate situation because even Jameis in that interview, which I really love, made comments that he apologized to Dennis Allen. He's like, yeah, I apologize to Dennis Allen. I apologize to DA. And then I have the utmost respect for Arthur. I wish I could do his voice properly, but I can't.
It's like Southern / like nerd.
It's weird, man. It's a really, it's a weird accent. Jameis. The way he talks is just so odd.
Is he from Louisiana?
I think he is. I know he likes crab legs. That's what I know. So
I think we all know he likes crab legs.
More about him.
So, he likes them from a specific grocery store. Right. So that's cool.
Which one?
God.
Starts with a P? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. Yeah.
They got good
He's from Alabama.
Oh, he is from Alabama? Oh, that makes sense. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. Is he from Alabama, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Besamere?
Okay.
Besamere?
Hey, Jameis, never change, man. Stay you, dog. Do you. Whatever it is.
Whatever it is that you do.
What you do, Jameis,
you keep
man.
doing what you do, man.
Because he's interesting. He's a character.
Yeah.
He's a character.
He's funny.
He's some kind of character. I classify him.
He's something.
He should quarterback the Falcons next year.
No,
absolutely not. Well, that'll never happen. That'll absolutely never happen.
You remember the victory formation touchdown? Introducing number 3.
Yeah.
Jameis, what's this?
They'd probably only do that just so they'd let him get under center, and then all the offensive linemen don't block.
The longest yard at the moment.
Oh, he gets knocked out like Kerry Collins did back in the day.
Oh, jeez, not Kerry.
Kerry Collins,
not
baby.
The alcoholic.
Oof, yeah, amongst other things that Kerry Collins was, that's for sure. And he go to Penn State. Yeah, he did go to Penn State, didn't he? Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
He was a pretty good quarterback in his time. All right. So, yeah, interesting conversation there. No doubt. Somewhat of an interesting conversation anyway. At least for
we just gonna get over the fact that they fake spiked on us and we still got that off. Like the fake spike is because of them. Nobody said nothing about that. We just let that go. It's like almost 30 years, right? However long ago that was.
Longer than that.
However long ago that was. 40-something years.
Was that the Mark
Ingram?
Ingram?
80. When was that? Yeah, 80.
I don't probably
about
wasn't
the
even
Jets
born.
Dolphin one?
Yeah, Jets Dolphins. When was that?
Was that 83?
Oh, I thought.
No.
Oh, no.
90,
I thought that was early 90s.
Yeah, that might have been like 92, 93.
Yeah, so why we can't say nothing about that?
You can say all you want about it. You got a microphone.
Nah, I'm just saying. We don't say nothing about that. And Shannon Sharp want to go, fake spike. So what? Fake spike happened. It
1994.
happened. It's
94.
over. It happened. Now we got to plan against it. When we see somebody go for the spike, you still see people in formation, right? In defense, and they lining up, they preparing for it.
Yep.
Now, this is going to put you in the same thing. Victory formation, I'm getting down in the 4-point stance just in case.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
hey, change the game.
Yeah, I mean, you thought the defenders were going after the ball before?
Absolutely.
Oof.
Every single play.
It's gonna be bad. Now.
It ain't gonna be come off the line and I just tap you and we go.
There's gonna be a lot of pushing and shoving. There's gonna be punches thrown. Because it's gonna get ugly down there.
Hey, he needed his touchdown though.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He absolutely didn't need his touchdown.
Shout out Jameis, my guy.
I don't want to hear about it. All right, so let's talk about some NFL incentives because this, for the first time in all the time, even though it's been a lot of years since I've done this, but never really did this before, and I don't know that we ever necessarily we were privy to these types of numbers a long time ago as far as the NFL incentives themselves. I mean, you can literally go anywhere on the internet now and look these up and see like what it is that they needed. Like I could find an article from 6 days ago that said this is what they need to get here, and then find the article, after the game's over and did they or did they not reach these particular incentives. And I think this is pretty cool. Like I think the idea that they have these incentives in their contracts. I mean, we've always known that they've had them, but we've never been privy to all the numbers, right? And the fact that we have them now is really cool. And you see what these guys play for.
I like the best one. The best one this weekend.
All right, I'm going to go through them. And then as I go through them, you tell me which one.
Hit the first one for the best one. You got to do the first one. He had the best celebration afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, it had to have been Chris Jones.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The guy, by the way, that you said at the beginning of
He's
the
still
year.
not the best defensive tackle.
No.
but it's
No.
okay.
You didn't think he would get there.
Oh, I
because
didn't.
you said because of his position, you didn't think that
well,
he'd make so many
needed
sacks.
10 plus sacks.
At
Or
10 and a
something.
half. Yep.
I didn't think he was going, especially missing a couple games. I
Right.
didn't think he was going to get there.
Yeah.
So.
No, he played extremely well, and actually, that's has a lot to do with the rest of the guys on that defense because that's what's actually kept Kansas City in the hunt this season. And
Agreed.
by the way, Kansas City finally decided to run Pacheco. I don't know, is this just a thing they're going to do all season long, where they really don't run anybody, and then given the ball with a week or two left in the season, get his engine revving, and then get into the playoffs and then make another run?
I think
Because he ran like a man possessed.
Well,
I
he
don't think
always
they got
does.
I mean, I know, but they don't
But
give him the ball that often.
I think it's because he came off the concussion
yeah,
and then falling through the table.
yeah.
So it was like, hey, we got to get him ready for the playoffs. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still not sure that they can't make a run, man. I don't know. I know it sounds weird, but I'm still not sure they can't make a
Is
run.
Kadarius Toney still on that team?
Yes.
All right,
Oh, Lord.
next topic.
I know. You may be on the team, but he may not be playing. That's probably the best thing for them. So we know about Chris Jones, of course, as well. So Baker Mayfield with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made an additional $2 million for making the playoffs.
For making the playoff, that's interesting.
That
for
was
just making the playoffs. Okay,
Yep. Yep.
cool.
Geno Smith was going to make $2 million had they made the playoffs. Did not.
And he
not.
still ain't paid that money back from when he got his jaw broke, but it's okay.
He still hadn't paid that money back?
Yeah,
You sure?
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right.
I got inside sources.
You got inside sources. All right. Gardner Minshew, your boy.
That's my guy.
$2 million incentive reached, by the way, played 65% of the 2023 offensive snaps.
I don't think they thought he was going to get there.
No, they didn't because it was supposed to be Richardson. So, yeah,
They
I don't know.
forced him in there too. Should have started Gardner all year. I said it.
You love him.
Start Gardner all year. You'd have been all right.
Yep. Yep.
And they shouldn't have lost that game, but that's another story.
Alexander Madison needed 125 rushing yards to end his season to reach an additional $650,000 incentive. Did not reach it.
What did he end up with?
I don't know. I don't see that in front of me. I just got that list of yes or
Madison.
no. Did they reach the incentive?
That's
I don't
the
know.
running back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Madison for the Vikings.
The Vikings.
Odell Beckham for the Ravens, $1.75 million. Needed 5 catches, 185, and 2 touchdowns. Did not play. They rested him and several starters.
Said,
in
nah,
that
dog,
game.
I'm good.
Yeah, he's like, I'm all right. I'm all right. DeAndre Hopkins,
Damn, D Hop.
$1.5 million total. If he had gotten 7 catches, 49 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He got 7 catches, 46 yards, and a touchdown.
Shady.
Yeah.
Now, Tannehill has since come out because he was quarterback in that game and came out and said he did everything he could to try to get him the ball as often as possible to reach that incentive. Now, it was $1.5 million that he didn't reach because of getting all those numbers, but because of the catches and the 1 touchdown, I think he ended up with like $500,000 or $750,000, something like that. He ended up with half of what that incentive was supposed to be.
I would have told Tannehill, come out your pocket and just give me the rest.
Whoa.
That's what I would have told him.
Tannehill ain't got no dimes like that.
Didn't he got a pretty
He
good
had a
he got a
good
pretty
deal.
big contract with the Titans.
Y'all
didn't
gave
he?
him a good deal before he went over there and got a good deal.
I don't think so.
He was
don't
he
think
was
he paid-
at one point the highest paid quarterback. Remember when he went to Tennessee? He signed for like $100+ million.
He signed
and
a big deal.
He signed a big deal. Yeah.
He didn't last. It didn't last very
No,
long.
it was like
yeah,
eclipsed immediately.
right.
but-
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
He signed a pretty solid deal. He's not going to have anything to worry about. Darius Slayton for the Giants, $750,000. He reached that, and all it says what he had to do was be active against the Eagles. I don't know.
I do like Slayton though. He deserves that. So cool.
Yeah. Nelson Aguilar, $500,000, needed 10 catches for 250,000, 58 yards for 250,000. Apparently didn't reach either one. Josh Reynolds for the Lions, $250,000, only needed 36 receiving yards, made it. Mike Gesicki, Patriots, tight end, needed 53% of the 2023 offensive snaps for 750,000, did not reach it. Dalton Schultz, didn't he end up getting hurt for a little while?
Yeah.
Was he hurt for a minute?
Yeah.
He needed 6 catches and 107 yards. Didn't reach either one of those for a $500,000 incentive bonus. Who are some of the other ones that we know? There's a couple guys in here that we're not really all that familiar with. Joe Mixon for the Bengals, an extra $100,000 in incentives, needed 2 touchdowns. He reached it. Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, again, when was the last time we mentioned that dude's name? $425,000 incentive. He needed 50. It says 50,000 for every game played. 252 total yards in week 18 for 375,000. Didn't get the total yards.
Did you see? He said, "I've always wanted to play a snow game, and then I played a snow game, and I
sucked.
don't want another.
Yeah,
one
I don't
of
want to do
those."
that again." Yep. Austin Eckler, $100,000. He needed 110 rushing or receiving yards. Didn't reach. That should go to show you about the Chargers this past year, man. Good night. Absolutely unbelievable.
Kellen Moore.
Yep.
He's gonna get that. He's gonna get that position.
Trouble.
Man,
He's
listen
gonna
to
get
this.
the head coaching spot.
Hey, I think they was grooming him to get it anyway.
I mean, I figured they were grooming him in Dallas, and that didn't work out.
Well, that's because
Hey, McCarthy.
I think
McCarthy. He
hated him.
loses. If he loses that first round, McCarthy, he gone. Peace out.
Yeah.
Fired. Jerry Jones going to be Redmond gone. That way he could keep Dan Quinn.
Leonard Floyd for the Bills needed 1.5 sacks in that last game to reach $2 million incentive and didn't get it. Bud Dupree for the Falcons for $2 million needed another 1.5 sacks to reach $1 million and 70% of the 2023 snaps for an additional $1 million. Didn't reach either.
I think Clowney got his. I seen Clowney was
did
celebrating something he got.
Yeah. Calais Campbell, 600, an additional $500,000, 60% of the defensive snaps made it on the number. 60%
pay that
of the
man.
defensive snaps.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Jadeveon Clowney, $750,000. He only needed half a sack in that game. He reached it. Chris Jones, of course, got his bonus. And that's pretty much it. There's a couple other names in there nobody's really all that familiar with. I don't know why they're on the list, but pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Pay that man. Somebody said who we got for Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive player.
I had picked Micah Parsons.
I don't even know who I picked for defensive player. Didn't we do that? Did we do defensive player, offensive player, all that?
I did.
Yeah,
I don't remember who I picked.
I don't know.
I had
picked.
Lamar. I had Lamar as my MVP.
Jesus.
Which is going to happen.
No, why?
Probably.
Why wouldn't
Bro, he's balling out. They're the best team in football right now.
Why wouldn't he win that?
Is his numbers better than his MVP year numbers?
They're pretty close.
Are they better?
Well, what difference does it make if they're better than
I'm
everybody
better
else?
than
I'm just saying if they're better than everybody else this year,
Technically,
you can't
his
compare
numbers
them.
are not better than Brock Purdy. His numbers are not better than Dak's.
Oh, that's true. Dak probably. Dak might
His
win
numbers
MVP.
are, I think, close to probably not even better than Tua's.
Right.
Like, he's not the MVP. Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP if we want to play this game.
Most valuable player.
Exactly, because without him, what is the 49ers?
Without Lamar, what are the Baltimore Ravens?
I get that, but that's all they have there, and we've already known that.
Right.
Plus, Lamar wasn't looking MVP like beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm. Purdy had a moment in the middle.
He did. And then
without
he was
his
like,
weapons.
But McCaffrey is steady every single game, and look at his numbers.
Yeah, McCaffrey's numbers are sick, dude.
McCaffrey has to win MVP. But defensive player, I don't know. I guess
Lamar's
I guess
19
Micah Parsons.
season is pretty strong.
I guess Micah Parsons, right?
It'd be hard to argue that, right? I mean,
TJ Watt is still putting
Well,
up
Watt had the
crazy
sack lead,
numbers.
right? He had the most sacks.
Yeah, and they dragged them to the playoffs. I get it, but nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'll stick with Parsons. He still had a really good year. I know he didn't have the sacks that he probably had won. There's got to be someone out there that we're missing.
I mean,
But yeah, I'm taking Lamar right now.
I mean, aren't we missing somebody?
Who for MVP?
Yeah. Defensive player of the year? No, defensive player of the year.
Defensive player.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner.
No.
He only gave up like 100 yards.
Total on the year?
Is really good. Look at his numbers. PFF #1 rated corner,
You know who I'm going to give a nod to for Defensive Player of the Year?
Quentin Williams.
Just thought about this. It just popped up in my head.
Jesse Bates.
No. I'd like to say that, but it's not
He
going
might get one. He might get a vote.
He might.
Yeah.
He might. Myles Garrett.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about Myles Garrett.
He's got to be in serious consideration for that. That dude, like, yeah.
I would say him over TJ Watt. Me personally.
Yeah, they're
Neck
close.
and neck.
TJ had a great year too. There's a lot of people believe he should be Defensive Player of the Year, but I mean, look, there's like 3 or 4 guys that you can't, and it would be one of those things this year where like if you have a favorite, it might piss you off if your guy didn't get picked, but like
that, yes.
But any one of those guys got picked, I'd be like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
I can't
defense this year.
I
Yes.
can't argue that.
Yeah.
If it's Micah, if it's Miles, if it's TJ, like I can't
Yeah,
be
those
mad.
are the 3 names that keep popping up for possibilities.
Yeah.
Garrett, Parsons, and Watt. Those are 3 popular names.
I can't get mad at any one of them.
Does the corner from the Cowboys get a vote? I'm not saying he's gonna get it at all. By no means. The kid with
Oh
all
yeah,
the pick
he's got what,
sixes
like 9 or 10
land.
picks.
Oh, for sure. He's got to get a vote. Yeah.
So I mean,
He's
that
gotta
would
get a vote.
I guess that would negate Micah Parsons' votes there. But yeah.
Yeah. I think you can't argue that Bates has probably played at the highest level of at the safety position this year, or at least one of the top couple.
I think the sacks set you apart. I think TJ gets it. Sacks.
What are the sack numbers comparatively speaking?
I think he had 19.
Ooh, God,
Yeah, he was way up there.
Yeah, he did. Miles was in double digits though, wasn't he?
16, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons obviously is double digits, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Watt 19, Josh Allen 17 and
Josh
a
Allen
half,
was next.
Hendrickson 17.
Josh Allen's
Garrett
gonna
has
get paid.
14. Parsons has 14 sacks.
Wow.
So 5
What a
sacks,
year.
while it's a lot,
Yeah.
and from 19 to 14, that's
Yeah.
a lot.
That's a
right?
huge
Well,
number,
that's
yeah.
a lot, but is that worth Defensive Player of the Year numbers when, hey, Michael Parsons is getting triple and quadruple teamed and playing all around the field
Yeah.
and had the better defense? I think the Cowboys defense was better than the Steelers defense this year.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think when a lot of times when you talk about this, is kind of going back to the MVP conversation about Lamar. It's like without Lamar, what are they? So without this player, what are they? So like if the Steelers are not as good defensively as the Cowboys, but if TJ Watt is not putting up those kind of numbers, can you argue that the Steelers may not even necessarily be in the playoffs? Like
They missed them a couple games though,
right.
and they still win.
Right.
I think anything Pittsburgh gets negated because they just plug and play people over there regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't take away from
No,
the number that TJ's numbers are sick, dude. Like that's, because they're back the back end of that defense is not stellar.
Joey Porter Jr. had a good year.
They're young. Hell no, that Pittsburgh secondary is really
And
young.
Other than
Yeah, that's
They got
what
a lot
that's
of
what I'm saying.
other than Minka, but he's been hurt too.
Right.
I mean,
He's been hurt a
and
lot.
he's dirty.
But those 2
that's
corners that they have, and they got that safety as well.
Yeah, but very young,
Ooh.
right? The inexperience there,
Porter.
and I've said this since the beginning of time, man. Like your secondary, more often than not, with the exception of maybe 5 to 10 players in the history of this game,
because you're pass rush.
your secondary is only as good as your pass rush, right? I mean that's what I've always said, and so I think that a lot of times these guys can help with the deficiencies that you have on the back end,
course.
right? So it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see what happens with that, but I know we want to get to our top 5 really quickly. I don't think it's going to take very very long for us to do that. A couple things we didn't quite get to. We know that we've got some coaches. Where we're going to do that when we talk about our top 5. But really quickly, wild card round, right? We got that coming up, so we need to discuss this really quickly. We've got the Browns and Texans. Who do we like? That's a tough one. That's one of the toughest ones of the
Yeah.
weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah. That Cleveland defense is rolling. I don't know how much longer Flacco is going to be able to keep this momentum going, but they are really hot. Houston, that young team, I think they're playing with house money.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Cleveland.
I'm going to take Cleveland as well. No Tank Dell for Houston. It's been a great story this year, but I think that comes
They
to
didn't
an end.
have Tank Dell last week.
No,
and Nico Collins went off.
Who did they play last week?
Indy. Remember they beat them
Yeah.
to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
Browns
Texans.
are
Texans.
Texans.
Yeah,
You're taking the Texans.
might as well.
Browns defense is a lot better than Indy's defense.
Did you
is.
see how happy D'Amico Ryans was on the sideline when they won?
Dude, it's been an amazing year. And
Coach
he's going
of
to
the
win
year.
Coach of the Year.
He's gotta get it.
Going to win Coach of the Year.
Gotta get it.
If he doesn't win Coach of the Year, we're going to have a problem.
Should.
There's going to be a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins, Chiefs.
The Dolphins are. Whew. I don't. As stuff out there again that the rumblings does Tua choke towards the end of the year.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm not concerned
I'll
about
go Dolphins.
I'm not concerned about Tua. I'm not concerned about that team. I'm not concerned about what they can do. I mean, granted, they've got injuries. I know that.
defense
Crispy,
is beat up.
They're beat up. I get that part, right? I get it. But they can score points. They can do all that. They can keep themselves in games. It's the weather, man. It's going to be like -4 in Kansas City. Unfortunately, I don't think the Dolphins can survive that. I just don't think they can survive that weather. It's not going to be easy for Kansas City either, but they're accustomed to it. I like the Chiefs at home against the Dolphins. Crispy, are you gonna break the time?
Right.
I mean, you're gonna take the Dolphins, right? But
Yes, I'm taking the Dolphins, right? So here's the thing. If they get snow, it takes away all of our speed.
right.
It's already going to be cold. Our speed's going to be down.
Yeah.
We got caught with the injuries at the worst time.
Yeah.
Every excuse I can use, I got for you. Did you guys see where we went and signed Justin Houston?
I did see that.
And
Melvin Ingram, right?
well, we've had him. We signed another. Like every old defensive lineman that's out there, we've brought him in.
Oh,
from the
what's his
streets.
name?
Well,
Pierre
we
Paul.
already had Pierre Paul.
Oh, you already
we
had
just
Pierre
literally signed. Yeah, we had Pierre Paul already.
And
We had
Melvin
Ingram already.
They got all classic pass rushes.
So, I
out
mean,
there.
so obviously they're not playing at the level they used to because they haven't really made much of an impact.
No, Ingram's the only one that's been
wild.
playing.
Really?
Yeah.
They got some bad luck with when
Yeah.
Phillips went down and then Bradley Chubb went down too. Like,
Well, I mean, I remember that one game where you had like, was it the London game where you had like a bunch of injuries in the same game? Was it the London game?
Oh, and Bruce Irvin.
Oh
Bruce
my God!
Irvin. I didn't even know
Yeah,
he was
we
still
just signed
playing.
him
I thought
today,
he
too.
retired.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheesh.
That's how bad we are, man.
Yeah, there was that one game. I swear, you guys did. It was just injury after injury after injury in a single game.
Well, hell,
That
we
was-
just lost Chubb in the game
Yeah.
against.
Torn ACL
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That
Whoa,
sucks.
that's rough.
So,
He had a good year,
yeah,
too.
I have to take the Dolphins, but stranger things have happened.
Yep,
Let's
100%.
see what happens.
All right, moving on to Sunday's games. We've got Steelers and Bills.
Come on now.
I'm taking the Bills. The way they've been playing,
They running away with that game.
I like the way I like the way the Bills have started to play here. And guess who got in the game last week? Guess who started running the ball for the Bills last week?
Leonard Fournette.
Oh,
Fournette.
Oh,
Just at the right time. Because now with Fournette and Cook running the ball together, if Fournette continues, they keep feeding him as we move along in these playoffs. The running back I wish they'd had for the last couple of years might be just the right time.
hey,
Fournette's
taking
nasty, dude.
I agree.
I'm taking the Steelers.
Taking the Steelers, huh?
What? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I have this master plan put together for the playoffs.
Are you trying to sneak your way? I get it. If they win and then we
Right,
win,
right.
I see it.
It's guy
I
math.
you.
I got it.
Exactly right.
We've got Packers and Cowboys.
Oh, that's nice. Come on, Cowboys though.
Cowboys don't lose at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, would I laugh if the Packers won that game?
Yes.
Yes, hilarious. Like I would.
Man,
Yes.
Jerry Jones will absolutely lose his shit.
Oh well, Mike McCarthy gets fired that night. Like you remember
Instantly.
Arthur Smith got fired at the stroke of midnight? That's exactly what happens to Mike McCarthy if they lose this game to the Packers.
That might.
In
be,
fact, if they don't at least get to the NFC Championship game, he will be fired.
he's not getting fired.
Yes, he is. I'm
no,
telling
if
you,
they-
they're
if
looking
they-
for an excuse to fire him.
If
dude.
they lose this
round, he's fired.
yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yes. If they win one, maybe two. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last couple
okay.
games really quickly. Rams, Lions. This is probably the toughest call here.
Lions.
Lions.
Yeah, you just has to, just because.
Okay. Crispy.
think he said Rams.
I'm gonna go
earlier.
Rams. I'm gonna go Rams on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Rams here too. Yeah,
Playing good right now.
Aren't the Lions missing Laporta, right?
Laporta's gone.
Ooh, man,
Yeah.
that's tough. That's a security blanket right there. That's tough.
Great year too.
A very good year, man. What? All right, final game: Eagles Bucks.
Come on. I mean, I would say come on, but
This is in Tampa, by the way.
that's disgusting.
Yeah, I know.
I'm taking Tampa. I'm taking Tampa. I'm taking Tampa. I don't even think it's out of the realms of possibility that this happens. They've still got weapons. They haven't played well the last couple weeks, but the defense is getting better. It was a divisional game against Carolina. They needed just enough to win. But if you give Baker Mayfield enough time with who's covering, tell me who's covering Mike Evans in that secondary. Nobody.
Slay.
Slay.
Darius Slay.
Slay.
Okay, yeah, couldn't make it in Detroit.
Yeah.
Got it.
Hey.
He's not covering him, dude.
Hey, Carolina shut him down.
Divisional game though,
Yeah,
right?
nothing.
Like
No,
Yeah, nothing.
Mike Evans is the most consistent receiver we've seen.
in,
So
I don't know how long.
yeah.
Him and
Another
Keenan
1,000
Allen.
yards.
I'm taking the Eagles. I think the
All right,
Eagles
go
will travel
Eagles.
down there. That I watched a lot of that Bucks and Carolina game. Tampa looked absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
The running game was trash. Their defense wasn't great. I know they pitched a shutout, but it was Carolina that really contributed to more of that. But I'm going to take the Eagles.
Okay.
They'll bounce back, but that'll be it.
Eagles.
They'll be done after that.
Eagles.
All right, there you go. So that's the round. I want to remember all these picks. We got to talk about this, of course, next week.
I got mine.
As we get up near the divisional round, we'll see what happens. I know I am going to be all over these games this weekend, man. Like I'm ready.
I'm not probably not even gonna watch.
That's not true.
I didn't watch a lick of football this.
Why not?
I was watching wrestling.
You're not gonna watch any of the wild card round, which is notoriously the best round in the playoffs.
It
but
depends. I might get a game, but it's not as important. Like when your team is out,
I know, but it's the playoffs, dude.
I don't like none of these teams that's in there. The Lions, that'll be who I'm pulling for.
Okay.
But yeah,
Nice.
I'm probably not gonna
I
watch
like
it.
that.
You know, it's funny because I'm rooting for, I'm saying that the Bucks are going to win this game, but if I need the Eagles to win, so my prediction for the Super Bowl stays there, because I still have Eagles in Kansas City going back.
Yeah,
to
the
the Super Bowl.
rematch, right?
So, yeah. Which, hey,
I
you know
only
what?
got San Francisco left.
Who were your two teams? Oh, San Francisco,
Fran and
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Who were your two teams?
I said the Jets and San Fran.
Did you?
Yeah, because of the Hard Knocks.
Well, you got San Fran.
San
I got
Fran's
San
still
Fran.
there.
I've got two of my teams in. All right, we'll see what happens. Actually, I feel better about your teams than I feel about my teams. Each of you only have San Fran in, but I've got two teams I don't think are going to go very far. So, all right, we'll see what happens. Really quickly, let's get into our top five. I know we didn't really preview this because leading up to the show, we weren't really sure what that top five was going to be, but there are only a few openings right now in the NFL. Right? There's a few. There's a couple more that will probably find themselves opening in the next week or so, maybe a little bit longer. But right now, we know of 5 definitive openings. There's a 6th and a 7th who still have interim coaches, so you have to assume that they will. We'll include one of those in the 6 that are available out there, right? And in no particular order, I'll tell you who the 6 are. One of them is, and we'll use the Raiders as one because we don't know what's going to happen with Antonio Pierce, right? He's an interim head coach. I think it'd be a great fit if he stays. So we've got the Raiders, we've got Washington, we've got Atlanta, we've got Seattle, we've got Tennessee, and we've got the Chargers, right? Mm-hmm. So of those 6, who are the top? You got to tick 5 out of those 6. Who are your top 5 job openings? Starting with number 5, working your way to the number 1 job opening. Ala, we'll start with you.
Raiders is at 5.
Okay.
Washington at 4.
Okay.
Well, no, Seattle at 4. I think Washington is at 3. And then I go Chargers is 1. I think the Chargers job is really good, and I think Harbaugh gets that. And then wherever that other one, Atlanta, because the pieces, you got pieces there. I go Atlanta at 2.
So you don't have Seattle in your top 5?
No, Seattle is in the three spot. No,
so it's
4, and then Washington at 3.
Raiders, Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
Washington, Atlanta, Chargers. Okay, gotcha. Crispy?
All right, thanks for letting me know that. All right, so number 5,
He's gonna go say
I must have stepped away when we were doing our top 5, so I was doing it real quick. Number 5 is Vegas. I think Pierce does get that job, though. But I like the running back. I know they got to get him under contract, and I love Devontae Adams. I'm not sure if he's going to stay, but they've got 2 out of the 3 at the important spots.
Don't do that.
I don't know.
He's not going to the Jets.
Garrett
Wilson changed his number to
Kirk
5.
Cousins finds his way to Vegas to help with that team that they got already. Number 4, I like Tennessee. I know they got a lot of questions around, whether or not Derrick Henry is going to be sticking around. I think if they get the right head coach in there and they can get Henry bought back in, he's the cornerstone of that franchise. I don't think he'd hate to stay, but that'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, they got a plethora. That'd be my third is the Seattle. They got a ton of picks coming up. They got great cap space. I think it was just time. They got to get a younger voice in there. Carroll did great. He'll probably be a Hall of Fame NFL coach as well. Number 2 for me, I got the Chargers. They got all the core pieces there. The defense, I think, can be brought back around. They're in the division that, we got Patrick Mahomes, but they're showing that they're not great this year. So it's a division that can definitely be won. So I like the Chargers. But number 1 for me, Atlanta. Got a top 10 defense. They got the core pieces at wide receiver, running back, tight end. Offensive line's going to protect. They just got to get a quarterback in there that's got some kind of sense and knows how to play football. So I think Atlanta. And I got – this is even – hey, I think this is the perfect timing. I know I've said this in the past. It's time to bring Prime back to Atlanta. Let's get Deion Sanders, head coach, to Atlanta.
Oh, my God.
Bring Justin Fields. He's going to draft his son as a backup. The ATL is going to be rocking again, baby.
Oh,
Let's
my
go.
God. He did say if he comes to Atlanta, they got to have to draft his son. That's a no-brainer.
They will. They'll bring him in. And he'll get to him and Justin Fields. Let's go.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it eventually. I just think it's premature. I just think it's too soon.
Yeah.
I just think it's too soon.
Hey, there's an opening. I know he just got to Colorado.
Yeah.
I know it's going to suck for some kids, but sometimes when these prime NFL jobs open.
Woo. I didn't think that's where he was going to go on that one.
I didn't think that's where he was going to go either, but he is a big Prime fan, so I get it. I get that. I get that. All right, so I'm going to give you my top 5 really quickly. I had a little bit of a hard time with this for the simple fact that I didn't want to put the Raiders in because even though Pierce is an interim coach, I think that's a foregone conclusion for me. Like I just think it makes sense that Pierce stays there. I know we talked a little bit pregame about, where did that come from, by the way? The whole
because Wink Martindale, they parted ways.
The defensive coordinator for the Giants.
Yeah. They want to bring him in as a DC because of the title,
sure,
the pedigree, being a Giant and all of that. Bring him in with Dable.
Yeah, that would be tough. I think that's a tough ask, asking him to go from an interim head coaching position to go to defensive coordinator, unless, of course, he interviews, doesn't get it, and then defensive coordinator position still stays open. Obviously, it would make sense, for him to go there. But I love Pierce as the head coach for the Raiders moving forward. So I didn't put it in my top 5 because I just don't think that opening is going to come to fruition. I think it's his for the taking. So I've got I know this is going to sound a little bit strange, but I have Tennessee at number 5. If Derrick Henry is on the way out, I don't know who in the hell else they have on that team. I think it may have actually been a perfect time, even though most people will tell you they don't think he should have been fired. It may actually be a perfect time for Vrabel to have gotten fired. They came in, their new GM came in and made a mess of that place. I'm wondering if the GM just didn't want to get him out of there and looked for any excuse to do that. He may be in the owner's ear. I don't know. But it may be a perfect time for Vrabel to get out of there because they just don't have a lot, man. They do not have a lot. If Derrick Henry leaves, then what? You got Will Levis, and then what?
Vrabel is going back to
New England?
Yeah, because Bill's out of here.
Well, Vrabel is on everybody's short list. As soon as he got fired, all of a sudden everybody pops up and says, this team should get him. This team should get him. He's number 1. I mean, I've heard Atlanta should be like just breaking down his door to try to get him hired. So I've got Tennessee at number 5. I have got Washington at number 4. This team, they traded away a couple of defensive pieces. Offensively, they've got some weapons, some guys that underachieved. They didn't run the ball particularly well. I think they've got good running backs, and they really didn't. And I think that is that Bieniemy question. It's like, so are we just not going to run the football? Is that not what we're going to do? We have the guys to do it. It's an odd situation, right? We know Ron Rivera's out, but I don't know if it's a great job, and they have better players in place, but an offense that I don't know that fits a lot of the pieces that are there. So is it almost like they're going to be starting over again as well? Is it like a Tennessee where they're just by the time they decide who the coaching staff is going to be, or any of those guys really going to be there? Is this a real rebuild at this point for Washington? So I don't know if it's a great job opening, much like Tennessee. I just wasn't really sure who I was going to put at 4, who I was going to put at 5. I'm going to put the Chargers at 3, gentlemen, because you've got Herbert, who I love, right? But you yourself have said Herbert needs to get out of there because, they're wasting his talent. So you've got Keenan Allen, who's actually managed to stay healthy for the majority of his last season or two. You got Mike Williams, who can't. You've got Eckler, who is, was a stud last year, was a decent player this year, but not what he has been in the past. Again, another situation of, depending on who you bring in here, are we just going to stick with the status quo, or are we going to have to start making some moves? Is Keenan Allen now finally going to move on? He's obviously long in the tooth. Mike Williams can't stay healthy. Who's your number 1 wide receiver?
Keenan Allen.
Right.
Still.
Probably going to remain there, but who's his running mate? Right. I know that
Palmer.
Also, I think got hurt a little bit this year. So they have a real problem with this when it comes to the Chargers. I don't think it's a great situation. Because I don't think that some of those pieces that they have that can't stay healthy are going to remain. And last year there was questions about whether or not Keenan Allen was still going to be with the Chargers as well. And if this guy actually wants to do something, maybe he likes just being in LA, which is fine, right? Maybe he's just content with that, too. Right? 100%. But if he actually wants to go somewhere and win, I don't know that next year the Chargers are all of a sudden going to turn around and be world beaters.
Come on to the Jets. We take you.
You'll take anybody at this point.
Devontae
You need a quarterback, though.
Devontae Adams, baby.
You need a quarterback at this point.
Yeah, we got
the number 2 opening, I think, is Seattle. They have quite a few pieces in place. The running backs need to learn how to stay healthy, which they've been having a problem with ever since Marshawn Lynch left. But they've got 2 very good wide receivers. The Geno Smith factor is going to be interesting if they decide they want to stay with him or not. And I think the next head coach is going to have something to say about that. And if they give him the ability to do that, maybe that's something that they work out. Maybe it's a trade. Maybe they get rid of Geno. Maybe they move into it, and maybe they move into a different direction. But they do have some weapons there. The defense is not good as it once was, but they've got some younger guys on defense that I think they're going to build that defense back up again. Right? This is what Seattle's known for. They will continue.
Well, we're known for.
Well, yeah, but I mean but I think they want to get back to that, right? I think that's just what they are. That's who they are.
If they say who would show up there, Dan Quinn, he's going to bring it back.
Yeah,
he's like the number 1 candidate for
for that Seattle job. And then the number 1 team is Atlanta, and for all the reasons that Crispy mentioned, right? I mean, I know it's my team, but they do have a plethora of weapons. They've got a lot of guys. They need a quarterback. Right, they need a quarterback, and obviously at this point they need a coach. It will be interesting to see who they bring in. This is always the case. This is always the
new GM as well.
What's that?
Did you all just get a new GM, or is it time for a new one?
No. We have a new GM. Terry Fontenot came in.
Okay.
Yeah. So he actually came over from the Saints. But it's also going to be interesting too to see the direction this team goes depending on the coach that they hire. And much the same with all of these teams. You have these weapons. I think Atlanta is still a team that should and could run the ball moving forward, right? Because they have these 2 very good running backs. Algier is still a very good back. They're different types of running backs. You made your bed with Bijan. You drafted this kid. You have London. You have Pitts. You have Jonnu Smith. You know, you've got all of these weapons. You need this. You need the quarterback to throw them the football. I don't know who that quarterback's going to be. I don't know if that's coming through free agency and or the draft or just the draft. I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to play out. But if this team decides that they're not going to be the running team that they once were under Arthur Smith, who likes to run the football, then maybe they go in a different direction. Maybe Algiers not there next year. This is going to look more like a team that's going to be in the shotgun a lot, and they're going to dump the ball off to Bijan out of the backfield. You know, that type of offense, more like what you see out of the Chargers with Eckler, who's more of a guy that catches the ball out of the backfield versus a guy that really runs between tackles. But if Vrabel comes in as the head coach, I don't know that much will change offensively. They just need themselves a quarterback because he appreciates running the football. I don't know. I think it's a good job opening for all the pieces they have in place right now, but some of those pieces could eventually change. So,
I was gonna say, I see that having a hard time with that because they just had Arthur Smith. He was from Tennessee,
right.
So I don't think they go back to that same offense.
True, but again, yeah, it's so you run the risk of having to change things up a little bit. Although all those guys could probably, you know, even Algier could probably conform to like a different type of offense. But I really didn't have a problem with them running the football at all. They just couldn't find anybody else to throw the football to. When you run the ball that successfully, I don't understand why play action wasn't working for them. Although it's probably because they didn't have good quarterback play. So there's that. I mean, you had weeks upon weeks on end where you literally Pitts and London didn't actually even get targeted.
You talking to me about quarterback play? I didn't have a quarterback, so
yeah, I get it.
I watch wrestling.
Yeah, I watch hockey.
The Royal Rumble's coming up, so I'm doing my deep dive of I go through from like 92 on and just watch the Rumble match.
Okay,
really good.
Yeah. You've been all over social media with wrestling.
I've been all over social media all
period.
Yes.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of it.
Woo, my fingers hurt.
Yeah, they do. I'm sure they do.
You got splint on it.
Yeah, nah, it's still swollen.
Well, there you go, fellas. That was that. Yep. That quickly it ends. Thoroughly enjoy that first show of the 2024 year. I'm excited.
I'm gonna figure this out.
I'm excited.
Next week.
You do have a new toy.
You
got a new toy. You got this. You got this toy here.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it didn't fall off the table.
Yeah.
That's
a first.
What you doing? Me?
No, I'm just saying. Like, I'm just happy that everything worked out. That we didn't have an accident. Nothing spilled. No chairs fell over. Nothing fell down. Nobody got hurt. We didn't need that.
Yeah, no.
Start for the first show of the 2024 year.
It's finally clean in here. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, it looks good in here. Actually, it really looks good.
Now I can see and move around.
Yeah. We got a lot more coming. A lot more things on the horizon. We're very excited about what's coming down the pipe. There's a lot of things that we're very excited about that are going to be like back in this particular area that we're working on. We've got
I was about to say what you touching.
Some social media stuff that we're working on right now. We're just genuinely excited about what the future holds. There's a lot of things that are coming. We've been working diligently on. I've been doing a lot of research, a lot of different things, just try to make this show better for all of you. And you know, I'm excited. It was good. We haven't done this in a couple weeks, and it felt like we just did it yesterday. So
yeah,
it was comfortable.
Yep,
I enjoyed it a lot.
Shout out to my man Dwayne too. He came back recently.
Dwayne Johnson, that's right, The Rock.
Yeah, we're on a first name basis.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I call him Dwayne.
Okay.
Yeah. Same. I'm with you. I just got done texting with him not too long ago.
So, what did I just hear about this? The four. What did I just hear about this? After his entrance, they're doing the four.
They're doing a fatal four-way.
Fatal four-way. That's it. That's the one
against the GOAT. Yep. Roman.
Yep.
The current GOAT, not the old GOAT.
Right.
That's Sean.
Yeah.
The current GOAT.
Yeah.
Roman. Historic title.
I actually was watching that when they announced it.
It's crazy.
You proud of me?
I'm proud of you.
There you go.
You know,
I'm paying attention.
This is gonna be the 40th year of the old red and yellow. You know that guy.
Yes, I do.
A little racist, but you know that guy right there.
He also likes to sleep with other people's wives, but that's the thing. You know, it is whatever it is.
Yeah, so they're trying to hopefully get Roman to take over his current era to like push him out
Yeah.
the way, but you can't deny what Hogan has done for wrestling, period.
Of course.
So,
Of course.
yeah, but Roman is the guy.
Yeah.
Shout out the bloodline. Maybe y'all should watch Royal Rumble and then know what's going on.
I will. You just have to tell me when it comes on.
The 27th.
I got hockey and college basketball and golf and bowling and
He said bowling.
I thought he was on his wrestling kick last time. Now you just stop watching wrestling all of a sudden.
oh, that was so 2023.
I was so
it is
last year.
2024.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pay attention to it. I have no choice. I mean, this guy's inundating my social media with wrestling. I have
All
no-
wrestling.
I have no
I'll put some good wrestling things on there too.
Very good. Very easy on the eyes. So there you go. So first show of 2024. We do appreciate you very much. You can check out this podcast, of course, on all the podcast platforms coming up on Friday. And just to let you know, too, we're going to be floating a little bit. We're going to be doing some of our shows on Tuesdays, some of our shows on Wednesdays. We'll be back next Wednesday for you. And I believe the following week we'll probably be with you on Tuesday. But we're going to give you plenty of heads up. Just check us out on social media. You can check us out everywhere when it comes to Balls Out Sports. We are hitting social media hard at this point. Want to thank Allah for that because he has been on top of it
Very hard.
over the last several weeks. So muchísimas gracias, señor. And want to thank Christian, of course, on the other side of the camera. Crispy in Greenville, South Carolina. For Allah here to my left. I am Jonas Mount. This is Balls Out Sports. Stay tuned for the rest of this year because it is going to be huge.
Whoa. Hey, yo.
I think I should just leave it on that.
No, I don't know about that one.
All right, we'll see y'all next week for Balls Out Sports. Deuces.
Suck it, jabroni.
Stay hydrated.
Yo, watch the podcast, dog. All right? You get to see me and me and me with my broken ass finger, okay? I'm here. What is this, Tuesdays? Every Tuesday night from 9 to 11. Live on the YouTubes. Check us out on all the socials. At Sharlashaka51. That's me, first of all. I got to promote myself, even with my broken digit. Secondly, I'm a
Nobody cares.
Almost lost my life. Secondly, I'm promoting this show, which is at Balls Out Sports. BALLZ. That hurt. BALZ Out Sports on all your socials. Christian, they should be that area. Load them into the belt.